snow had already started falling when Victoria Hale stepped out her car. The city glowed with lights. Fireworks vendors crowded sidewalks, couples laughing as they hurried toward celebrations. It was New Year's Eve, the one night every restaurant in the city was fully booked weeks in advance. Victoria adjusted the collar of her long black coat and walked toward the most popular restaurant downtown. Inside, the warmth hit her instantly. Music, chatter, glasses clinking. She approached the host stand. "Table for one," she said politely. The host looked apologetic before she even finished speaking. "I'm so sorry, ma'am. We're completely full tonight. Reservations only." Victoria nodded calmly. "I understand. I was hoping maybe someone canceled." The host checked the screen again, then shook her head. "Not tonight. People booked this date months ahead." Victoria smiled politely. "Thank you anyway." She turned to leave. If anyone had recognized her, the situation might have been different. After all, Victoria Hale wasn't just any customer. She was the CEO of Hale Dynamics, a billion-dollar tech company whose headquarters towered above half the city. But tonight, she wasn't wearing a power suit. No assistants. No entourage. Just a woman who didn't want to spend another New Year's Eve alone in a quiet penthouse. She stepped back outside into the cold. For a moment, she just stood there, watching people through the restaurant window. Families, couples, friends laughing over dinner. She hadn't realized how loud loneliness could feel. Then suddenly, a voice called out from inside. "Excuse me." She turned. Through the window, a man was standing up from a table near the center of the restaurant. He raised his hand and waved toward her. "Hey, miss." Victoria looked behind her, thinking he must be calling someone else. But he pointed directly at her. "Yeah, you. Come here." Confused, she stepped back inside. The host looked surprised. "Sir?" she asked the man. He smiled warmly. "She can take my seat." Victoria blinked. "What?" The man stood up fully now. He looked to be in his early 40s. Slightly tired eyes. Simple sweater. A small boy sat beside him, swinging his legs under the table. "It's okay," the man said gently. "We already ate. I was just waiting for midnight with my son." Victoria shook her head quickly. "No, I couldn't take your table. It's not a problem." The host looked between them. "Are you sure, sir?" The little boy tugged the man's sleeve. "Dad, can we go watch the fireworks outside?" The man smiled down at him. "See? Perfect timing." He turned back to Victoria. "Please, no one should spend New Year's Eve standing in the cold." Victoria hesitated. Something about the moment felt surreal. "You don't even know me," she said. The man shrugged. "Does that matter tonight?" She looked around the restaurant again. Every table full, every chair taken, except this one. Finally, she nodded slowly. "Thank you." The man gathered his jacket, while the boy hopped out of the chair excitedly. Before leaving, the boy looked up at Victoria. "Happy New Year," he said proudly. She smiled for the first time that evening. "Happy New Year." The man extended his hand. "I'm Daniel." "Victoria. No last names tonight," he said with a grin. "Just people sharing a good evening." She almost laughed. They stepped aside so she could sit, but before Daniel left, the host whispered something to him. He shook his head quickly. No, really, she can have it." Victoria noticed. "Wait," she said. "If you're leaving, at least let me buy your dinner." Daniel smiled politely. "That's kind, but we're good." She frowned slightly. "Are you sure?" He nodded. "My son, and I made a deal this year." The boy looked up proudly again. "We helped one person before midnight." Victoria blinked. "That's the nice deal." Daniel winked. "Happy New Year, Victoria." Then he took his son's hand and headed for the door. Victoria sat down slowly. The waiter approached with the menu. "Your husband is very kind," the waiter said. "Oh, he's not my—" She stopped. Daniel was already gone. For the next hour, she ate quietly, but her thoughts kept returning to the man and his son. Who gives up their table on the busiest night of the year, especially with a child? At 11:55 p.m., the restaurant lights dimmed slightly. Everyone stood up with champagne glasses. The countdown began. 10, 9, 8. Victoria stood with the crowd, but instead of watching the clock, she looked out the window. Through the glass, she spotted Daniel and his son standing on the sidewalk, watching fireworks vendors set up. The boy sat on his father's shoulders, laughing. 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year. Fireworks exploded across the sky. The restaurant erupted with cheers. Victoria grabbed her coat and walked outside. The cold air rushed around her as colors burst overhead. Daniel noticed her approaching. "Oh, hey," he said, surprised. "You didn't have to come out." She shook her head. "I wanted to." The boy pointed excitedly. "Look, the red one." They watched the fireworks together for a moment. Then Victoria asked softly, "Why did you really give up the table?" Daniel shrugged. "My son's mom passed away 2 years ago." The words landed quietly. "So it's just us now," he continued. "Every New Year we try to do something kind for someone." Victoria felt a sudden tightness in her chest. "That's beautiful." The boy tugged his sleeve again. "Dad, can we get hot chocolate?" Daniel laughed. "Sure." He looked back at Victoria. "Well, Happy New Year again." "Wait," she said. He paused. "I'd like to return the favor." He tilted his head. "You already said thank you." "No," she said softly. "I mean properly." She reached into her bag and pulled out a business card. Daniel glanced at it, then looked again, because the name printed there read, Victoria Hale, CEO, Hale Dynamics. His eyes widened slightly. "You're the Victoria Hale?" She smiled faintly. "Yes." The boy looked confused. "Dad, is she famous?" Daniel chuckled awkwardly. "Kind of." Victoria looked at him warmly. "You gave your table to a stranger," she said. "You didn't ask who I was. You didn't expect anything back." Daniel shrugged again. "It's just kindness." She nodded. "And I want people like you working with me." He blinked. "Working with you?" "Yes." He laughed nervously. "I'm just a school teacher." "Exactly," she replied. Daniel stared at the card again. "You're serious?" "Very." The boy pulled his sleeve again. "Dad, can she come get hot chocolate with us?" Victoria smiled. "I'd like that." Daniel looked between her and the fireworks and the business card in his hand. Then he laughed. "All right," he said. "But tonight, no CO talk." "Deal," Victoria replied, as they walked toward the small cafe down the street, fireworks still bursting above them. Victoria realized something strange. She had walked into the night, expecting another lonely New Year. Instead, a single dad who couldn't afford a fancy table had just given her the best seat in the city. And maybe a brand new beginning. Fireworks